everybody? Welcome back to Shoe Podcast, the only sneaker podcast that is willing to admit we may have had a hand in letting the dogs out. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your also great co-host, Tanner Young.
And we are the Baja Men. Thank you for watching our channel. Do us a quick favor, hit that subscribe button if you're not already.
Appreciate it.
I got to tell you, I feel like OBS is running kind of choppy right now.
I was going to say it's me.
No, it's smoothed out now. I think it was just the video that was playing on the screen there for a second. Okay.
Tough.
Shatter the fourth wall real quick. OBS has been giving us problems for like a month now. And the fact that we're here is a miracle, but we are. So,
yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, I get it. It's free.
but also, I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you.
We have put a lot of eggs in this OBS basket.
Truly. We did a lot of work to make this not look like a Zoom call, okay? Please just bear with us for a moment here.
Thank you, sir. And ma'am.
It is good to be back. It feels sudden because, again, shattering the fourth wall. We recorded on Thursday. We did an interview together on Saturday. That's going to be a good one. And now it is Monday. So we've literally, we've been on a day off a day for like, 5 days now?
Yeah.
We took Friday off, we took Sunday off, and now we're back. So,
hey, the grind set.
As much as I love you and as much as I love sneakers, I will look forward to the next week where we don't have to sit down in front of the camera and try to make this all work. Exactly.
Coast.
Yeah. So got a little topic lined up for today. No visuals here, but something that's kind of been, floating around the internet here. Admittedly, I was listening to the Complex Sneakers podcast last week, and they were talking about the upcoming restock of Yeezy product with Adidas that Foot Locker's going to get, which is not news. We're not breaking news here, but they made some kind of interesting points on it, and I thought it would just be interesting for us to talk about it, because I think you and I are kind of on the same page here, but I'm not 100% sure. And admittedly, I think since May, when the last Yeezy Day restock happened, we've kind of been like, every time it comes up, we just kind of push it to the side and be like, we are not really talking about Yeezy right now,
Yeah, well, I feel like when everything started, a lot was said, and it was kind of covered. And I think at some point you do have to let something breathe. You have to see, okay, what is the next step? Is there going to be growth? Is there going to be change and things like that? And also, to take the power away from one party and make sure that it gets transitioned to the correct one. So, but yeah, I think again, up until this point, a lot of it has just been kind of the same rhetoric since 2022.
Yeah. So for anyone that's not familiar, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick 2 minutes to give you the backstory on how we got to where we are today and kind of what we're talking about today. So if you've been living under the social media rock for, let's call it the past year or something like that. So
good on you.
Good on you. Honestly, I'm jealous. I wish I could. Back in October of last year, 2022, Adidas announced that they were ending their partnership with Kanye West, or Ye. We'll probably use the two interchangeably here throughout the episode, on their Yeezy footwear line. In regards to, or in light of, a lot of the comments and remarks that he was making around that time that there had been a lot of snippets of before that time, but especially around that time when it was starting to get out of hand. So that was announced in October. And then, immediately, obviously what a lot of people start asking is like, so what happens now? Because like, obviously you don't just say like, we're not making any more today and nothing's happening. Like they have a bunch of product already made or in development. So they had, I think at the time, their current CEO was still kind of new, of Adidas. He comes from, I think, Puma. And he was doing like news junkets or whatever, at least giving blurbs to other sneaker media sites saying that, they were weighing a couple of different options of like, do we go ahead and sell them? Do we go ahead and scrap them? Do we go ahead and donate them? And like, there's a lot of pros and cons that come with all of them. But 7 months later, fast forward to May of this year, 2023, we finally get a Yeezy restock on the Adidas Confirmed app, which a lot of people call Yeezy Day, quote unquote, because in the past several years, Adidas has done a branded Yeezy Day where it's an all-day event of releases and restocks and stuff like that. So they finally announced we're going to go ahead and sell these. And the quote is, with a significant amount will be donated to select organizations working to combat discrimination and hate, including racism and anti-Semitism, with which, again, if you're familiar with the comments that were being made by Ye around the time, are kind of the organizations that go hand in hand with that. I'll pause there for a second. Do you have any thoughts of remembering how you felt when you saw they announced that there was going to be a big restock, like they finally decided what they were going to do with it?
I think initially, I think the knee-jerk reaction was greed.
Yeah.
This seems like a greed thing. I mean, obviously, to just move to to kind of go, but I think looking back on it, having a lot of that time, I think this was probably the best route to go.
Yeah.
To say, hey, a lot of this profit, we essentially won't really be profiting what we would. I'm sure obviously they still profited, but at least like you said, a significant amount would have liked a more clear cut and open percentage
On the percentages. Yeah.
of, hey, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to these are the organizations and this is the percentage, which maybe go.
Only footnote right there. Sorry. There was a list of the specific organizations in the press release that went out. I didn't put it in the show notes here, but
Yeah.
we did get that. I didn't catch if there was a note on the specific percentage split, but
Yeah.
continue.
So would have been nice to see, but again, I think this is the best of like, hey, rather than what we typically see from individuals and organizations when a dark moment like this happens, they usually try to just do a media blackout. It's you make one apology statement and then you were just hush hush and you just ignore it.
You're quiet and then business as usual.
Yeah. So, trying to just stay out of that, because obviously the more that you talk about it, the more that, that dark moment it goes. But I did like this. I did like that they were very much, obviously Adidas in this aspect has no, I don't think people were really looking at Adidas in a negative aspect, since Kanye had made those statements. And I mean, he necessarily didn't say, I'm making the statements on behalf of this company or yada, yada. And really once that arrogance, I think, was on the forefront when he was on another podcast and basically said, I could say whatever I want.
Right.
And Adidas can't drop me. Very almost immediately they said, okay, now if we don't do something.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So I like this, of them kind of just being like, hey, we are going to do it because obviously we have stock. And I think this is a great way to, if you want to purchase Yeezys, then you have your moment. Also, that money will be given to, most of that money will be given to the organizations. I would imagine that you are still putting money to Kanye.
That's been stated. That's definitely still part of it.
By making these purchases. So it's like, yes, cool. Some of my money went to some good organizations, but also some of my money did also go.
So some of my money went to not what he said, but then some of my money went to what he said,
Yeah. So, but then I guess you could look at that as a net zero,
I guess. Yeah.
However it may be. So that's kind of what I thought. Like I said, from basically that initial reaction to, at this time, May.
Yeah, for sure. And so then fast forward to today. Now we're in July, obviously. News is coming out that Yeezys are going to once again be restocking, this time specifically at Foot Locker. That's the big name attached to it, but there may be some others. This is a blurb I pulled from Sneaker News, saying that, quote, after reports came out of Foot Locker releasing Yeezy footwear this month, independent retailers have confirmed that they will also be carrying Yeezy footwear beginning this month. Up to 18 different Yeezy footwear releases, which include sneakers and Yeezy slides and Yeezy foam runners, are expected to drop in a staggered schedule. That says this month. I may have misquoted it because I believe it's August where the restock is actually happening. But anyways, so yeah, there's going to be now another restock behind it, which I was a little surprised to hear because I thought May was like the end. Like I thought the Adidas confirmed was like the push of like, here's everything that's left. It's all going out the door now.
That is what it seemed like.
At the time,
it definitely was stated. I don't know if it was a Foot Locker CEO or executive or whatever. But I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure there is a quote. I don't know if it is Foot Locker, but I know there was a lot of retailers who were basically like, "This is it. We are essentially cutting ties
Yeah.
um, with the Yeezy brand. We will no
Hmm.
longer be stocking as of immediately."
Right.
Um, and then if Foot Locker was a part of that, and then now they're like, "Hey, we're gonna be releasing
Hmm.
20 unique pairs
Yeah.
of Yeezys." It does not look great.
Hmm.
Obviously, if Foot Locker um, had made that statement, and then
Right.
now,
Right.
however, it could be also a contract that
Yeah.
they just cannot get out of,
Yeah.
or is just, even though Adidas is a I'm sorry, Foot Locker is a large retail space, still
Hmm.
could be like, hey, we cannot take that hit in a
Right.
quarter
Right.
without
Exactly.
seeing serious negative impacts.
Yeah.
Um, which
Well,
I
and I.
guess, yes, you can say that you are putting business and a company ahead of, if you want to say,
Hmm.
morals and whatnot. But I do think you also have to, as Foot Locker, do have to look at all of the employment that they have.
Right.
While we could make this stance, we could be putting people
Yeah.
who couldn't take that financial hit in a bad situation. So,
Yeah. And so let me jump in because I think that's you're really segueing into kind of the first point I wanted to touch on here is like thoughts on the approach that Adidas ultimately took to sell the product, which I think it's probably pretty obvious, but just to reiterate it, there's no like one right answer here where everyone wins because,
true.
they take the approach of releasing the product. You're going to appease the people that actually want to buy it. Sure. You're going to upset
Hmm.
the people that think like morally you should not be releasing it. And like, while I don't often sympathize and empathize with like multi-billion dollar corporations, you got to still know that like this was a non insignificant piece of their pie in their business plan. And so I think you said it earlier. If this product doesn't come out, there are employees, people who are impacted by this for statements and decisions they did not personally make.
Yeah.
And so I think there's that side of it. Obviously, to like play devil's advocate, if they just decide to scrap all the product, then I think you've probably got, like rightfully so, environmentalists or people who are just like, conscious
True.
of all that being like, hey, that's perfectly good footwear that someone could be wearing that, like
Yeah.
I get that it's morally wrong, but it's also like terrible probably for the planet to just bury this all in the desert in Arizona next to ET for the NES.
There you go. There you go. Well, but what a dig site that would be in
Yeah,
100
what a
years.
score. That'd be
You
something,
know.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, I don't think there's ever in the history of just even humanity that a decision has been made
A one
that
size fits
does
all.
not, yeah, that does not make every single party happy.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah, at some point you along the line you are going to. It will be interesting to see. Is Foot Locker or Adidas, are they doing the same thing that they did in May? Are they going to continue to donate
Hmm.
from this profits? Or are they like,
Hmm.
because again, like if you are, then yeah, that still looks good. But if
Hmm.
you're like, no, no, we already did the donating part. We want
Yeah.
to get back to the making money
The
part.
making money part. Yeah.
So to me, I think that would be a real black, a real black smudge would be
Hmm.
them being like, hey, we're kind of done with the donating thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, like you said, okay, I thought May was the last one, but now we're here in
How many
August.
last
So
ones are there?
is this the last, or things like that.
Yeah.
So interesting,
Hmm.
to follow, to see how
Yeah.
this continues to evolve. And again, obviously we'll have to see once the detail
Hmm.
comes out in August about this, but it looks like it's growing more and more into, like I said, just that corporate greed of,
Mm.
hey, I kind of want to get back to making billions again.
Right.
So,
Right. That's pretty cool.
I mean, like Adidas said, they were like, hey, could we just, let's take a poll real quick. Could we release 350s, but they just don't have Yeezy written on the insole?
Yeah.
Is that still
Which,
cool, or is that kind of
yeah.
bad?
And that may still be in their plan. That may still be something to come that happens. That's
Yeah.
probably a little bit further out. I'd be curious to see. But so I think we've kind of established, from one side, why are they still selling Yeezys? But I
Mm-hmm.
think more importantly, the question is, why are people still buying Yeezys? And this is, like I said at the top of the episode, what we alluded to, why we've kind of shoved this topic to the side for so long. Because I think
Yeah.
we're both pretty much like, hey, you don't need to keep buying Yeezys right now. So, but I tried to put myself in the shoes, right, of someone who's like wanting to buy Yeezys right now. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where the Complex Sneakers podcast comes in, because this is kind of a point they were making. So allow me to talk for a moment here. So
Sure.
I think what's going on is that it's possible. This is not the majority by any means, but it is somewhat possible. There's a small amount of people who might not know that Ye or Kanye is affiliated with Yeezy footwear, similar to how there was a while there that people were buying the Stan Smiths without being aware that it was Stan Smith, the athlete. They were like, it's just a name. I don't think that's really the majority. I think that's like a fractions of a percent going on there. I think what's more likely,
I,
though, is that people know, but just aren't associating Kanye with Yeezy footwear. Kind of like can you separate the art from the artist? This artist you love does a terrible thing, or
okay.
this band that you love has a terrible act, and you're like, yes, but I have memories with the music, and so I separate them in my head.
Yeah.
Because I think about it not to that extent, but I think about the fact that like when I buy Jordan 1s, I'm not buying them because I'm like, Michael Jordan. Yes. Like I
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge, I know that's why, but that wasn't it. I'm not buying them with the intent of like, I'm supporting Michael Jordan and everything he's ever done and stood for.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my devil's
So
advocate for you.
yeah. So I would say I can see kind of where they're coming with the Stan Smith, but I think bad example
Okay.
because
I
you're
worked hard on
choosing
it, but go ahead.
in the sense of Stan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's no one compared to Yeezy. To me, huge distance.
Well,
I
and
would
there's also
say
been you talk about like in terms of like name recognition and relevance.
yes.
It's especially today though, because Stan Smith obviously not an active athlete, and I think in
Yeah,
the footwear space does not have the notoriety that Michael Jordan has.
that Kanye has,
Yeah, but even at the time his shoes were coming out, he's told stories before that people were buying them not realizing that he was the guy.
and that
This
makes
is
sense. I
however
have
many years ago.
I have no idea who Stan Smith is.
Oh,
Like,
tennis player.
and then
There you
again
go.
of sports,
Yeah,
real low on the. And then again,
on the name recognition.
if I had to name 5 tennis players, I don't know if I could, but Stan Smith maybe now would be one.
Andre Agassi, Stan Smith. Can we do it? McEnroe, Mac
Serena,
Attacks, Serena, Venus.
there you go.
We could name five. We could
Yeah.
name five. Come at us.
So I think that's a just so far, and I really don't think I mean yeah, I'm sure there is a percentage. I would say maybe 2%, 1% of
It's
the entire
decimals.
population.
I wanted to throw a theory out there.
Yeah, I think there's maybe more of people who wouldn't think that Yeezys are not, but especially I think even more now. You definitely know just because
Yeah.
Kanye has gone more towards Yay
Yeah.
Yeezy. I think the most interesting one is definitely the argument that you made, that final point of separating the art from the artist.
That's the only way that I can justify and understand why people are still buying it,
Absolutely, because again, like you said, especially relating it to bands or artists and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It to me, I find it easier to make that when it's like a band,
Mm-hmm.
because while maybe one member of a
Mm-hmm.
4-person band did something terrible, there are
Mm-hmm.
still 3 other people in
Yeah.
that group who do now have to suffer if someone's like, hey, I'm no longer going to listen to this
Yes.
album or music because of what the one person had done.
Could I counterpoint you that Kanye is just one
Please.
person and there's an entire team at Yeezy similar
There-
to the
well,
band?
So it would be interesting to see, I guess, how how that contract works. Because I was
Yeah.
going to say, because Kanye is just one person. Now I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if all of the design team who was a part of Yeezy, do they get a percentage of the sale of a shoe, or were they just essentially
That
getting
probably
paid?
not.
So
Probably
then,
a paycheck, probably a salary.
so at that point, it leads me to, if you're buying Yeezys, you're essentially only supporting Kanye. There's no other
Yeah.
people a part of that, or
Yeah.
at least Kanye is getting,
Hmm.
the bulk of that
Yeah.
finances. But then again, it's like, okay, outside of that, are you no longer listening to Kanye's music? Do you stop
Yeah.
listening to all of Kanye's music, or do you
Yeah.
just don't listen to the albums since all of the controversies have
Hmm.
begun and things like that? Same thing with the Yeezys.
Hmm.
Oh, I bought mine before
Yeah.
the controversies. So does that are mine clean? Is it all, things like,
Are they clean? Like,
where are
I
we
just,
drawing the
I
line?
just like that phrase. Like, are they clean? Like, am I cool to wear these? But
Yeah.
it's funny that you say it, because that's the last talking point that I had written down. I
Oh,
actually honestly do not know. Are you still wearing Yeezys? I'm pretty sure you're not buying them anymore, as am I not actively buying them. But are you still wearing your pairs?
I haven't worn,
Yeah.
because I have three V2s,
Hmm.
um, and I have not worn them.
Yeah.
I'm not actively thinking,
Hmm.
like, I've put together an outfit and be like, I want to wear these Yeezy, and be like, oh
Hmm.
wait, no, he said some bad things.
Right.
So I haven't had that moment where I've
Hmm.
gone to grab a pair of Yeezys and actively been like, no, Tanner, we're
Yeah.
better than this now.
Yeah.
So I would say that of the three Yeezys I have, there may be an outfit where I would want to wear them, and
Hmm.
I would probably wear them, and um, if someone had said like, oh, why are you,
Can't believe you're wearing those.
I don't know how I would have that conversation of like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know he has said some bad things. I already bought them, so
I
I
think
haven't. I'd
that's
be like, I did already buy them. I don't know if that makes a difference to you. If it's just like,
yeah.
I don't care if when you bought them, you just shouldn't wear them at all. But then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm not just gonna throw them away, because
Obviously not. Yeah.
that doesn't seem like a smart move at all.
Right.
Is it better if I sell them and then
You
now I
gotta
make money
sell
off
them.
it? But then
Yeah.
is like, is that of the ranking, if you want to go, ranking of like least worst to
Yeah.
most worst, where, things
Yeah.
like that. So I think it gets to that point.
Hmm.
I don't think I'll sell them, just because I've got a lot of wear and tear on them.
Yeah.
I think at some point I will end up wearing them.
Hmm.
But I also think most people, I don't I don't really know how to say it. I don't think a lot of people put a lot of energy into that. I don't think someone would be like,
You know,
I can't believe you're wearing
I,
Yeezys.
that goes to the point of, I think that's why people are still buying them right now. I think just because either people are thinking about it and are intentionally deciding, I'm going to separate the art from the artist,
Hmm.
or more likely, just like with the pace we move these days, it's like, yeah, that's out of my head that happened. Like, like Yeezys, I want shoes, so like,
Yeah.
I think it's to your point of like, people probably aren't thinking about it that much.
Yeah. And there is, I think, a conversation I'll probably save for maybe just
Oh,
me and you.
oh,
Um, I don't think it's inherently
exclusive.
I don't think it's inherently bad. I mean,
Mhm.
unless you want to cut, that's up to you. I mean, I don't
Listen,
mind.
I don't want to do any more editing than I have to.
Okay.
So you can save it
Um,
for later.
yeah. So I think a lot of people, it is odd, but I think they don't care,
Hmm.
and it could be maybe the statements that he made. They weren't. I mean, they weren't, obviously they weren't great statements. He got dropped, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of people, rightly so, had
Hmm.
a problem with what he said, because it just reinforces
Yeah.
um, very negative stereotypes that have been around
Hmm.
for quite a long time,
Hmm.
um, and especially with, I think, the political climate
Yeah.
of the time. Um, so it is interesting. I don't think Kanye has he come out and said like a apology, or has it
I
just
haven't.
been like, once it
I
happened,
haven't
he just kind of
really.
went,
Yeah, I haven't really seen or heard much of them. To be fair, I stopped keeping up with the Kanye Ian's right around the time this was all going on. Like, used to be a
yeah.
very, as I'm sure you're aware, probably a lot of people can infer from like listening to episodes past, used to be big Kanye fan.
Hmm.
But yeah, a lot of the time, around the time a lot of this started popping off, I was just like, I cannot keep up with this.
Yeah.
I cannot really, defend my boy anymore.
Yeah.
I'm out, so I don't
Yeah.
really
There
know. All
was
that to say, I don't actively see a lot of like statements from him or anything like that showing up in my
true.
feed. So
Yeah. And then I mean, I guess selfishly, I can sit here and be like, man, this is a bummer because I would say that there are some Yeezys
hmm
that I would put in a Grail status, for me, of
yeah,
things like that. And selfishly, I can say like it is upsetting because I don't
hmm
know if I mean, one, I probably would never actually be able to afford them regardless of the statements,
hmm
but like, now it's like, I don't even know if I ever really want to have them in my collection because,
yeah,
I don't know how meaningful they are to me now or how much I would really enjoy them. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of weirdness around it. I think time will tell a little bit more. I feel
hmm
like we're still kind of, again, like you said, like May wasn't. It feels forever ago, but it wasn't that long ago. Now we're having another drop in August, so it's kind of like there's not really been a lot of time where like the dust can really settle, and
yeah,
all of this can really be done where we can have this retroactive look at
hmm
this moment and then piece it together a little more. But what about you? Are you putting on the Yeezys? Are you throwing them in the closet? Are you putting them up for sale? What are you thinking?
To be fair, I hadn't been wearing them much prior to when a lot of this started popping off, and
Same.
especially now, this is just a thing. I have two pairs. I have Sesame 350 V2s and I have Turtle Dove V1s. The Sesames, ever since I got my latest pair of Salehi Bemberry Crocs in the horchata colorway, if
Mm,
I want a tan beige casual shoe, I grab those 10 out of 10
still,
times.
that's fair.
So there's that, and then Turtle Doves. It's just like I honestly got to be like, a lot of the times now, if I'm looking at my closet and looking for something to throw on, I look at those. I'm just like, I don't know that I want to be out in those right now.
Yeah.
To your point, I don't think I'm not like worried that anyone's going to stop me and have that conversation, but just like personally, I'm just like, I don't know that I want like to have these on my feet right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not at the point that like I want to sell them because I'm so unaligned with who Ye is right now. I'm
Hmm.
more so I'm at the point that I want to sell them because I haven't been wearing them. Um,
Yeah. That's a
but
good point.
so just make room and get funds for stuff I do want to wear. But it's
Yeah.
tough. I'm not jumping to pull the trigger on it, especially on the sesames. I'm a little bit more leaning towards selling, but to your point, they're not like cooked, but they're so worn that I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would buy these. And
No.
then the turtle doves, it's just tough because it's like, how many years
Grail.
did we sit here? How many years did we sit here waiting for turtle doves? And then they
Yep.
come back out. I get to wear them for what, like 3 months, and then all of this pops off,
Bam.
and it's just like, I don't really want to be seen in turtle doves right now.
Yeah. And like I said, yeah, my Sesame's day one of wearing them, a car splashed a muddy puddle on them.
I remember
That
that. I
that
remember you
was
telling me that.
that was tough. I've got I can't even remember, sage green,
Desert sage green,
sage green. I don't know,
something
something
like
like
that.
that. Green
You
with
got
like
those that
that.
shake back.
Yeah, the camo orange,
Hmm
which are my favorite. I absolutely love those
Yeah,
colorways. And then the statics, which you had gifted me
that's right.
um, as a wedding present. So
Yeah,
those are a sentimental shoe. So it's like I love
I
that
know.
shoe because of the time that it was given to
hmm
me. So it's like I
Yeah,
never want to get rid of that shoe. I love the sages because they look, and then my sesames, the ones that I probably would get rid of because they fit me the absolute worst. It took me
yeah,
forever to get a size that fit.
yeah,
Are ruined. So it's
yeah. I don't know.
so
We
I'm like,
probably told the story around the time, but if not, this is probably the only place it's going to fit in. Sesame's was the first Yeezy that
mm-hmm,
you and I both got, and Houston at the time, which is like, yeah, you say it. Now I don't want to get rid of my pair because it has memories in it as well. Of like
yeah,
I was in Chicago at the time and just happened to pop in the Adidas store and they had them, and I wasn't expected to be able to get them, and I did. I remember texting you in Houston, and then they restocked, and y'all were both trying to grab them, and it was just an
mm-hmm,
exciting time. So. But
And then I went, there were like 4 different sizes and just finally just got
yeah,
tired and just took the insoles out. I don't even know what the inserts are for that
yeah,
shoe. I have no
yeah,
idea where they are. I've moved since then, so who knows? I probably threw them away. I wouldn't doubt it.
yeah. But anyways, yeah, I don't anticipate myself buying anything, at
Mm.
least not anytime soon. I mean, it is like a would you practice what you preach sort of thing of like devil's advocate. What if they restocked the 750s? And I'd have to really grit my teeth and be like, I don't think it's okay.
Yeah,
I don't, and I'd be upset about it. But yeah,
yeah,
I think I'm okay with kind of letting that memory in that moment slide, and it's like they can always just be like a nice thought.
yeah. And I think I think it's totally fine, kind of how I said, to also feel selfishly of
Mm-hmm.
like, I am upset about everything that happened for a different reason
Mm-hmm.
because this thing that I really like has been ruined, and I think that's fine because
Yeah.
um, I'm not a part of the demographic that was directly affected by that. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think there are a lot of people who probably have the same thoughts of like, I wasn't personally affected by this, but it's hard for
Mm-hmm.
me to support it because it's not the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh darn it, I'm upset. But I
Yeah.
really don't want to talk about it because they're like, well, why are you upset? It's like, it's because I just can't own those shoes anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Other
So
people have real problems.
exactly, yeah. So
But I think that's probably a good place to end it and say, for those of
so
you out there listening, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Let us know, are you still buying Yeezys? Are you looking forward to anything coming out? Or are you still wearing yours? If you're
yeah,
listening on Spotify, we'll have a little poll in the episode description where you can vote. Let us know if you're still rocking with Yeezy right now or not. Would genuinely be curious to hear from everyone and know everything that's going on.
yeah. I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting part. I think really the big thing is how much time does time make you
Yeah.
be back on Yeezy brand, or does
Mm-hmm.
does time make you say, actually, you know what, I'm now off. That would be interesting. Be
Yeah.
interesting to see what
So
the people got.
leave a comment. Let us know. But that's going to do it for us. Thank you for checking out another episode. You can find us online at shoepodcast.com. You can keep up with us on Instagram at shoepodcast. I love the hands that you do. On TikTok at shoepodcast as well. That's scrolling?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
probably.
better scrolling.
There you go.
YouTube.com/@ shoe podcast. Get sucked into the void. And you can support us at patreon.com/shoe podcast. For $2 a month, you will help support the show, all of our hosting fees associated with it, and you will get early access to all of the video content before anyone else. Tanner, before we go, what do you got to leave the people with?
Oh man, just drink water and don't eat everything on your plate. Take a to-go box.
We talked about that. We talked about that this past weekend.
Take a to-go box.
Yeah, we had the weirdest experience at a restaurant, which we should have told at the top of the episode, but now
Hey,
it's at
next
the end.
week.
We got to wrap
Next
it up
week.
next week. Next week, keep us honest. Everyone in the comments, keep us honest. Next week, we'll tell you the
Thank you.
story.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. I'm your co-host Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Tanner Young.
See you next week, rock and rollers.